The movements that accompany this kind of abstract or rhythmic music attempt to make visible and audible its rhythms and melodic flow. Ta, ta, di, jena, ta, kita, ta, jena, ta, kititaka, ta, kititaka, ta, kititaka, ta, kititaka, ta, kititaka. Over the years, as I said, there have been so many compositions that today, when I watch a performance such as the Pallavi that you will see tonight, I was astounded that there were so many steps, per se, movements that I did not know. So just like ballet, we know that we have the 5 positions and you have attitudes and so on. But every time you see Balanchine or you see Ratmansky or someone choreograph it, you see steps that have never been done before, much in the way as what I'm actually saying today has never been said before, but I'm using the rules of English language, and everybody uses the rules of ballet if they're ballet choreographers. And Odissi uses the rules of Odissi, which is why it looks like Odissi. Now, there are quite a few possible stances in the lower half of the body, right? The choke, heel, toe, toe to the side, or the leg up across the body and lifted like Shiva. This is a pose that has been coined by Kelucharan, which I love. We don't use it in our style, and it represents the notion of a kiss. What differentiates each of these poses, so that we call them different, because the lower half of the body is doing something that could be similar to another step, are the hand gestures. And we use the hand gestures even in the so-called rhythmic dance that isn't telling you a story. And of course, during those dances, too, you strike poses, as I said, playing the veena. It means something. Parvati, or to refer to a stick dance. When Pratima does that, then it becomes the goddess who has the half moon in her hair, an attribute also of Shiva. So you use them in a particular way, that's when they become gestures. Otherwise, like this, they're just positions, A, B, C, D, until you make a word out of them. It's when these gestures are intentionally used to interpret texts that you have what is really what Indian dance is supposed to be about, and which is why we call it dance theatre, and which is why we need to explain to you before we do a dance what that literature is, so that you can enter. The job of the dancer, the actor, is to get you to enter into the literature, into the emotional significance of the texts. The text that gets pride of place in Odissi is a poem written by Orissa's most famous son, Jayadev, who wrote a poem in the 13th century in Sanskrit called Gita Govinda. Gita Govinda means song of the cowherd, and the cowherd is, of course, Krishna, the main deity of the temple where Odissi originated. The 24 songs of this 12-part poetic work describe the love between an adolescent Krishna. It's important to remember that he was perhaps 14, and Radha, wife of one of the cowherds in the village where he grew up. These poems written to be sung, and the manuscript gives names of ragas that today are obscure because they're not part of the raga cycle that we use. But there's the name of a raga and the name of a tala also, which is a rhythm scheme, next to each poem. It describes the eternal love play between Radha, whom Hindus understand to represent humanity, and Krishna, embodiment of the divine soul, which we believe has neither shape nor form. And this is not unlike the Spanish Carmelites and St. John of the Cross, who wrote about Christ referring to himself as the bride of Christ, likening his soul to that of a woman yearning to be one with his Lord. Some say that this tradition spread to India by Muslim Sufi saints, and that thus the mystical traditions of Islam, Christianity, and Hinduism are historically linked. Over the last 800 years, this poem, written in the 13th century, is spread throughout India. Till today, it's sung in temples as far away as those of Kerala in the southwest. And as Gita Govinda was disseminated, manuscripts were more often than not accompanied by the most exquisite paintings offering visual images for its complex poetry, which expresses intricate philosophical ideas, not always easy for a lay person to understand. Another image for this connection with the Lord is that each of us, when we dance with him, we think we are dancing alone with him. Apparently, before Jayadev, it was just this image, until Jayadev had the brilliant idea of having Krishna invite Radha out of the circle one dark night to be his special love. Thereafter, once she's come out, there were times when Radha had him all to herself, but she also spent days and nights bereft of his company. The 24 songs of the Gita Govinda capture various stages in their love play, from moments when she sits alone by the banks of the river, wistfully thinking of him with other gopis, to those when they're together, just then. And they're beautiful descriptions of how, after being together, he puts back an earring, he fixes her hair, and they're in a very intimate situation, completely bound together. Two very famous moments in their love affair, situations filled with drama and thus very popular with dancers and audiences, and these we'll see danced tonight, are first, Radha has spent the whole night waiting for Krishna, burning with a fever of longing. He finally appears at dawn, but his body bears marks of having been with another gopi. His lips are black from kissing the coal of her eyes. His skin covered with her nail marks, teeth marks. Overcome, Radha says, Yahi Madhava, Yahi Keshava, Mahavada Kaita Padam. Go away, Krishna. Leave me alone. I don't want to hear your deceitful words. Guilty as charged, the young man goes away. But she remains devastated. The second moment is when he returns the next day, repentant, but determined to win her over. Priye charushile, dearest one, cast off your petulance. Let me taste the honey of your lips. The nuances embedded in these kinds of situations, looked at from poetic, human, spiritual points of view, are considered the epitome of Abhinaya, that art of bringing you to the meanings and emotions of this emotional roller coaster that it is to love God. Gelu Babu was a master of this art. When he performed, bind me with your arms, bite me with your kisses, do what you will to punish me, he captured the unrefusable charm of Krishna. And when he cajoled, let that girdle of bells around your swelling hips ring out once again in proclamation of our love. One knew that Radha was as Pati.